Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me as always, we could host Ian. And joining us as per usual, my other wonderful co-host, Mud. How you doing? That is you. What is this show, you might ask? Well, every so often we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner and decide if it's one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other winners. And this week is a very special episode of this show because not only are we discussing the 40th Best Picture winner ever, which is, of course, none other than In the Heat of the Night from 1967, but we are seeing it probably for the first and only time in theaters. There is a Fathom event out right now for only 2 days where the three of us are going to... Joaquin couldn't make it. The three of us are going to get up out of this chair and not watch it illegally via torrenting. And drive to a
We never do that.
I know.
Never do that.
Never once have we done that.
Never.
We're just continuing that. But
we buy the DVDs.
Physical
media,
baby. That's where the torrents come from. So we get out of our wonderful little streaming deck here, and we will drive to the theater for the first time. We've never actually seen this movie.
We've never been to a
We've
theater.
never driven to theaters before.
That's not what I said. To watch a Best Picture winner classically and review it for the show. And
we are mondo excited for this.
So excited. It's a huge event.
I'm mildly amped. The only thing I'm upset is I'm not going to be able to take notes.
Yeah, I know. I don't know about that. So if
I
there's
got the old
nobody
neural
behind
vault.
me in the theater, if there's nobody behind us in the rows, then I'm going to take notes on my phone. That's my plan. But if
This
not,
is why we should have gotten the back row.
yeah, I guess so.
Did
Oh,
you
well.
did
Hindsight's
you say
20/20.
if there's nobody in the theater, there's going to be three old ladies all knitting while watching the movie?
So that's what I'm thinking. It's probably
Ian, what was
fine.
that movie? Was it called A Wild where we were the only
Oh
two
my
people
God,
under
we were
the age
only
of
two
45?
people. There were like three other people. It was two ladies knitting, and then a dude who fell asleep behind us.
That's true.
Well,
Anyways.
as always, to start us off, Mud, right? Not Ian.
Yes.
Today? Yes.
I'm
Mud
back on
is
fun
the-
facts.
I'm not Mud.
Usually Ian or Mud collects the fun facts. This time it's Mud, and Ian and I have not heard them ahead of time. So Mud, take it away.
I know two fun facts from this movie.
Thank you, Jake. So In the Heat of the Night was released on August 2nd, 1967. It has a runtime of 110 minutes. It has a 7.9 out of 10 IMDb, 95% Rotten Tomato critics, 92% Rotten Tomato audience, 75 Metacritic score, 7.9 Metacritic audience score, and the Rotten Tomatoes tagline is tense, funny, and thought-provoking all at once, and lifted by strong performances from Sidney Poitier and Rob Steiger. Director Norm Jewison's look at murder and racism in small-town America continues to resonate today. Starting us off with the director, it is Norman Jewison. Other works of his include A Fiddler on the Roof and Moonstruck, both of which earned him Best Director nominations along with this film.
I remember, which year did Moonstruck get nominated?
That would be 1987.
Okay. Yep.
His other works include Jesus Christ Superstar, which I am a huge fan of.
It's pretty good.
That's a great movie. The Russians Are Coming, which was nominated for Best Picture last week, and the original Thomas Crown Affair.
Okay.
A fun fact about him, the last film he directed before his retirement was The Statement in 2003, which starred Michael Caine, Tilda Swinton, and Ciaran Hinds.
Yeah.
Did not do well critically.
Of course.
So, the first actor in this film, obviously, we're finally talking about him, Sidney Poitier.
Yay.
Other work includes The Defiant Ones, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Little Nikita, They Call Him Mr. Tibbs, and The Organization.
Yep.
Yeah. You said for the first time, Sidney Poitier, he should have been the second time because 1958 should have been Defiant Ones, but that's neither here nor there. Go on.
He was also obviously the first black actor to win Best Actor for his 1963 performance in Lilies of the Field.
Yep.
The next actor we have is Rod Steiger, who is actually a returning face.
Yeah.
From On the Waterfront. He played Marlon Brando's brother.
Yep.
He's also in Dr. Zhivago
Banger.
and Waterloo as Napoleon Bonaparte.
Okay, interesting.
And my fun fact, On the Waterfront was his second film appearance.
Yeah.
Ever.
I remember.
I think
when
I
we
might have
were
said that then.
looking
I'm
at
saying it
that.
again now because that's impressive.
Yeah.
And the last actor I've decided to highlight is Larry Gates. There isn't much important about him,
He's
but
just Bill Gates' dad.
I'm going to tell you guys, this is a fun fact. He is in a film we will be watching for this series later on. Would you like to take a guess? You will not guess what it is.
He is in another Best Picture winner.
He is in another film we will be watching for this series.
It's a Worst Picture winner. I'm going to guess one at random. Leonard
Movie
Part 6.
43.
Jake is correct.
Leonard Part 6,
wait.
really?
Yeah, he's in Leonard Part 6.
Wait, Bill Cosby's own Leonard Part 6?
So I guessed it because
Bill
it was
Cosby, the star of Ghost Dad, directed by Sidney
Directed by Sidney
Poitier.
Poitier?
Yeah,
You
yep.
knew
Ties
exactly
in.
where I wanted
Yeah,
to go.
that's exactly why I picked it.
All ties in, baby.
Leonard Part 6.
That's so funny.
Some other films that came out this year include Cool Hand Luke, The Dirty Dozen, The Graduate, The Jungle Book, You Only Live Twice, Casino Royale, the bad one.
Yep.
The Producers, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, also starring Sidney Poitier,
Yep.
Valley of the Dolls, and Bonnie and Clyde.
You know what's such a banger? Casino Royale, the bad one.
That is not true at
The
all.
fact that we have to preface or postface with the bad one
Wait,
says
so
everything.
Guess Who's Coming came out the same year as this?
Yep.
Yes.
This is the year of Sidney Poitier.
It is. It is his.
Two heaters.
It is his year.
Yeah.
So here's some production facts. The film itself is based on a novel by John Ball.
Inventor of balls.
Yes. It's actually the first in the Virgil Tibbs series. Yep. Sidney Poitier insisted that the film be filmed in the North because of an incident where he was almost killed by the Ku Klux Klan during a visit to Mississippi.
Jesus.
It's yeah.
I can understand that.
It's filmed in Sparta, Illinois, and the film is set in Sparta, Missouri. They did briefly go to Tennessee to film some outdoor scenes, which resulted in Poitier sleeping with a gun under his pillow during the entirety of that section of production.
Do not blame
And he also received threats from racist local thugs.
So they just filmed real life around Sidney Poitier in Tennessee, right? They didn't actually make a story. They just documentary.
Yeah. So there's a very famous scene in this film where Detective Tibbs slaps Endicott, who is Larry's character.
Yep.
Now there's an urban legend. That they almost didn't put that scene in the film. That's not entirely true. The original, I'm talking like first draft of the film, like the original script that probably was the one that they picked up for production and then rewrote, does not have Tibbs slap Endicott. But the script that they filmed with, the one that Poitier was approached with, did have that scene.
Okay.
Nevertheless, Poitier told director Jewison that if he's in this film, that scene's going to be in every single version of the film.
Yep.
End of discussion. He did not want any other options because it was obviously a black man slapping a white man.
Yeah.
In the South is, sensitive. This film was also important for being the first major Hollywood film in color that took into consideration the complexion of their main actor, and the lighting was adjusted as such to make sure that Sidney Poitier, appeared on screen.
You could get all the
Detail.
emotions too.
Yep.
in
All the
acting.
subtle
Yeah.
movements of his face. Yep. Because, it's just one of those nuanced things where it's like, I read that and I was like, shit, I'd never even considered that, like, that probably had to actively be added to filmmaking because they're so used to just fucking black and white, pale-skinned motherfuckers.
Yep.
All right. A few other fun facts. Steiger's character constantly chewing gum was Steiger's idea. Also, ever the method actor, Steiger spoke in a southern accent throughout all of filming.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yep. Sidney Poitier has cited this as his favorite film that he ever worked on, and actor Danny Glover has cited this film as his favorite film of all time.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. The movie also spawned a show that would last 7 seasons and 4 made-for-TV movies.
Yep.
And it starred Howard Rollins as Detective Tibbs, who would later be nominated for Best Supporting Actor in 1981.
Nice.
So, some real fucking good actors playing Mr. Tibbs. Now, moving on. Award show facts. This year marked the first Oscar nomination for composer John Williams.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, he was nominated for his score for Valley of the Dolls.
The best to ever do it.
Mm-hmm. Both Bonnie and Clyde, as well as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, received nominations for acting in all 4 categories. To this day, this is the only year where more than one film has achieved that feat.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. 4 African-American stars announced they would not be attending the awards following the assassination of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yep.
He was assassinated only 4 days prior to the show. Those included Dehan Carroll, Sammy Davis Jr., Louis Armstrong, and Sidney Poitier. They originally were going to replace those presenters with other acts. For example, Jack Lemmon was going to present whatever Sidney Poitier was going to present. But eventually the Academy Awards just decided to postpone the ceremony. I believe they postponed it 2 days.
Makes sense.
Yep. Julie Andrews presented the Best Picture Award. With 10 nominations, Bonnie and Clyde, as well as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, were the most nominated films for the night. But In the Heat of the Night went home with the most awards at 5.
Oh, that means they really...
They each got 2.
That's bad.
And lastly,
20%.
Sergio Mendes performed The Look of Love from Casino Royale, the bad one, at the ceremony.
Oof.
Why? Oh my God.
That's the fun fact I knew you guys weren't ready for.
That's the fun fact that shouldn't have happened in an Oscar ceremony. They shouldn't have celebrated anything about that.
Yep. So, for nominated awards, James Richards was nominated for Best Sound Effects, but lost to John Pioneer for The Dirty Dozen, and Norman Jewison was nominated for Best Director, but he lost to Mike Nichols for The Graduate. Other nominees included Arthur Penn for Bonnie and Clyde, Stanley Kramer for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and Richard Brooks for In Cold Blood. Samuel Goldwyn Studios took home Best Sound, which is a different category from Best Sound Effects.
Okay.
Hal Ashby took home Best Film Editing. Sterling Silliphant took home Best Screenplay based on material from another medium.
Later on known as Best Adapted.
Rod Steiger took home Best Actor, beating out Warren Beatty for Bonnie and Clyde, Dustin Hoffman for The Graduate, Paul Newman for Cool Hand Luke, and the posthumous Spencer Tracy for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
I know who all of those people are.
Yeah, I know. Good year. And lastly, Best Picture, obviously it won, beating out Bonnie and Clyde, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, The Graduate, and Dr. Dolittle.
That, not the Eddie Murphy movie. The original one.
The original one.
My brain just went, no, that can't be right.
And lastly, our Mary Pickford fact.
Let's go.
So, simply put, as Mary Pickford was on the cutting edge of filmmaking. In the 1910s, when she was an up-and-comer with Biograph, D.W. Griffith's company, as we all know.
Everyone's favorite
They
guy.
didn't credit actors in the film. Like, credits just didn't exist.
Okay.
Which is why a lot of, like, starting out, like, silent movie actors are unknowns, because, they just didn't credit them. But Mary Pickford proved to be extremely popular at the cinema. Like her films were seen a lot more than other people's.
Yeah.
So a lot of theaters took to advertising that they had pictures starring, quote, the Biograph girl, Blondie Locks, or the girl with the golden curls, essentially making Mary Pickford the first film star. Or one of the first film stars.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, they didn't know who Mary Pickford was.
But they knew
her face. They were like, yeah, that girl. She's great at
pointing Leo at it.
Yeah.
Like,
she's great at silent acting because these were silent films.
Yep. She's good in the racists movies.
Yeah. Literally called the Biograph girl.
Yep. That's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, we will see you guys after we see this film in theaters.
I'm so excited. Let's go. So we just watched In the Heat of the Night
in theaters.
Yeah, I almost just screamed soda. So really
how are we feeling, guys?
I'm feeling really good. That was a really good film.
I'm feeling
awesome movie. Right?
Big ups.
I'm feeling some heat, and it's nighttime. So you know what? Yeah,
in the heater of the night.
Absolutely. I want to say that there was an intro that was like 5 minutes long that was very similar to Mud's Fun Facts this episode.
It was Mud's Fun Facts.
Every single one of these Best Picture podcast videos is actually a Fathom event for me.
Yep.
So the funny thing was, it was one of the guys who actually, his grandson.
Yes, the grandson.
Yeah, it was the grandson of one of the guys who worked on the film.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really, really cool.
It's awesome.
And I will say, AMC Theaters started the film like 20 minutes early.
15.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
We showed up
5 minutes early.
We showed up 5 minutes before our tickets said the film was going to start, and we walked in and the film had started.
It was like 10, 15 minutes in.
I will say, though, the management there was wonderful. They gave us back free passes to compensate and restarted the film.
Much to the chagrin of some old fuck who was in the theater with us.
Yeah, but there was like 2 people in there, so
yeah, Cope.
That's on them.
El Cope Steve Mold, man.
yeah.
Anyway, let's stop talking about
I
the
just
run-up. Let's start talking about the film.
Yeah. So In the Heat of the Night is a film, right? And let me just say, the best part of this film, I'm going to jump right into the best part, the performance from the 2 leads.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes. Yes, baby. Let's go.
Sidney Poitier, as we learned his name is actually pronounced from the pre-roll.
Rick Stigler.
Rod Steiger.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Rick Stickler.
Yeah, Dirk
I didn't
Diggler.
remember his name.
Rod Steiger and Sidney Poitier.
Mm-hmm.
Such electric performances from both of them.
The subdued performance, subtle acting from Poitier, spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so good because he has read the situation perfectly from the moment his character's introduced.
Sure.
And speaking of introductions, I like that neither of the leads are established during the opening scene. The opening scenes tell you the plot of the film, and you don't even realize it.
Yep.
Yep.
I love mystery films like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely.
So good.
I've seen a lot of Sidney Poitier classics, but obviously I wasn't alive when they came out. Seeing him
You
on
weren't?
the big screen feels right. Just acting his ass off.
He is a
Very
leading-
modern.
He is a leading man.
He is a magnetic presence. He just draws you right into his performance, just so easily.
A incredibly modern performance.
I
Has aged incredibly well.
he
yeah.
he gets picked up to get into it. His intro scene is he is at a train station, and he gets picked up by Sam, one of the cops in town.
Yep.
Literally just because he's black.
Yep.
Gets all the way to the police station. Gets like thrown in with the chief before he even makes a move, because he's just reading these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows
He knows.
he could just be like, yeah, I'm a police officer, but he doesn't know how well that's going to go over.
Yep.
Because Sam could just go, no, you aren't, and just take his badge.
Straight up.
Wait till you get to the fucking head bitch in charge.
Oh, yeah.
And then pull that
Well, it's
card.
not even you can take the badge. You could simply not believe him, because in this town, they probably can't be police officers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely.
People of color are not police officers in Sparta, Mississippi.
Sparta, Mississippi.
Like,
Crazy.
But it's such a good it's so good because you understand that he is the kind of person who just waits and listens, because everyone else talking around him is going to incriminate themselves.
yep. The longer you leave someone in silence, the worse they are going to say something.
Especially Sam. He freaks the fuck out after one question later on in the
Yup.
film.
I love the really, really good character work. Like, there's a
Yeah.
point where he's going for the train, and the cop comes up to him, and he's like, you can't pass an opportunity up like that to, like, show us up and prove all the white people wrong. And there is a long, drawn-out scene with no dialogue where he strolls over to his suitcase and goes back on the case.
It's like I could literally hear Tibbs thinking to himself, the funny thing is, I know you're playing me, but you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're fucking right.
I see through this deception. However,
I'm going to indulge myself.
I'm going to indulge myself. And I like that is kind of a character flaw of his character.
It
He
is.
admits later on in the film, I was gunning for Endicott because it was personal.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was like, rich white dude making all the black people relive fucking antebellum South.
Yep.
It's him.
Yeah.
And honestly, plot twist of the fucking film, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
So, I didn't think it was going to be. That being said, it was not who exactly I thought it was going to be.
It wasn't who I thought it was going to be either, which is really good because mystery films, they usually telegraph it pretty badly.
Yeah.
There's always one scene that gives it away.
Yeah, no, I thought it could have been one of the cops covering up for the big business guy in town, or maybe even the mayor covering up for the big business guy in the town.
Yeah, I know, Jake, was it you who thought that it was going to be the chief himself who did it?
No. I thought it was the guy in the white suit. I forget his name. But the guy who was like, get him off the case. He's no good. 'Cause I
The
thought-
mayor.
Oh, no, the guy who runs the factory.
Right.
Yeah, that's the mayor, isn't it?
Maybe?
Saul Goodman.
No, not the guy in the greenhouse. The guy who was telling the police
No, that's not the mayor. That's
Endicott.
Disney Epcot.
Epcot, yeah. Okay, so I was thinking. I guess I was thinking of the mayor then. But
I
it was the guy in like the
No, I know who you're
firefighter.
talking about. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he was just the factory manager.
Right. I
thought-
thought it was him.
I thought it
thought
was going to be him, too.
He had motivation to do it, and I thought he was hiding behind racism to get his political gains in like.
See, I thought that guy was the mayor because his wife kept going to talk to him and complain.
Yeah.
So I thought that was how that shook out. But hey, no, the movie did one better than even me, and I'm pretty good at like these older movies because they've all been redone 1,000 times, so it's like
True.
the same plot twist.
Yep.
But like this one still pulled the rug out. That's really
Oh.
effective.
So hard. I was like, holy shit. That guy?
No, and you know what? It makes sense when you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's fucking weird.
Yeah.
He's fucking weird.
He has weird.
And we get introduced to him before we even get introduced to the two main characters.
We're literally introduced to the guy who does it, and the film tells you he did it because the guy who did it is shooting flies with a rubber band with his right hand, and it's such a big thing later on that the killer was right-handed.
I didn't think about that.
And that's the first thing we see is the killer shooting flies from the back with his right hand.
Yep.
The film literally tells you in the opening scene, this is the guy who did it,
Yep.
and you don't know.
Bro.
Yep. It's really smart. This
That's
film is
insane.
really, really smart.
It's so smart. And the weird scene of the cop driving by the girl's house
Yep.
comes back later,
back.
Yep.
and
Yep.
it fucking solves the film. I love shit like that.
Right?
I love shit in these movies where it just seems like they have this like insignificant little side plot, and you're like, okay, I guess it's fleshing out the characters. No, it's the point of the film. Like Sicario with that cop that we're just randomly following, and then it turns out he's the guy who drives Benicio del Toro to the murder site at the end of the film, and you're like, oh my god, I know so much about this man.
Yeah. I love it when there's a bunch of seemingly random scenes that have nothing to do with each other, and they all tie in.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so satisfying.
It's so
They do a little bit of that in Knives Out as well.
They do.
yes, they do.
Do quite a bit
Oh,
of that.
it's so good, dude.
Mystery movies that do stuff like that are incredibly interesting.
Because it feels rewarding, and not in a pedantic way where you're like, yeah, obviously this is how it's gonna play
Both
out.
of the Hercule Poirot films do similar things too.
Yes.
The small little side plots to end up making their way into the main thing. Even if they're misleading to get you to think more about that character.
Yeah.
Things of that nature also interesting.
And it works as a murder mystery. It also works as a cop drama. And it also works as a film. Cinematography is really good. The scene where Virgil is in the cell with the suspect, he's sitting on the bed with the shadows of the jail bars over him. It's a standout visual.
I love that scene so much because Virgil does not get put into the jail cell to interrogate Harvey.
Nope.
He just gets put in there, but Virgil instantly fucking twists it around, and he's like, do you think it's a mistake they put me in there? Like, he's acting like he's still working with the cops, and it's like, holy shit, this guy's so smart.
I
and
know.
it's also really funny at the end of the film when Harvey's still in the jail cell, because I haven't thought about him in like an hour, and I'm
Literally.
like, oh yeah, he's still in prison.
Because it's only been like a day and a half.
Yep.
And oh god, and Tibbs in that scene fucking owns it, because Harvey, you know, poor white dude from the South's just going off about how he's better than the black guy. Tibbs puts up a fucking finger,
yes.
shuts him up, gets him on side.
That's what I was talking about, the commanding presence. If
Yeah.
a lesser actor performed that scene, you wouldn't buy it.
You'd think it was pedantic.
Yeah, but this you buy with him, with that glare, just the little
Not
subtle
speaking,
movements. Yep.
just puts a finger up, and he goes, careful, Harvey. I'm the only one on your side.
Yeah.
Oh, what a line,
What a
dude. What
line.
a fucking line.
That's a situation where everything comes together. You're talking acting, writing, directing, cinematography, just
Yeah.
the way it all blends into one really excellent product here. I love it so
Can
much.
I share something that I thought at the beginning of the film, and
Yep.
I want to get you guys' thoughts on? This film really reminds me, especially with that opening, of a James Bond film.
Yeah.
It's got like this-
Shaft-esque.
It's
Just less goofy.
It's Shaft-esque. It's like the middle child between James Bond and Shaft.
Yeah.
Like this is the Shaft James Bond crossover I wanted during the Bond-thon.
Yeah.
I want a Shaft. I want a fucking Bond in the Heat of the Night crossover. I want to see Bond and Mr. Tibbs solving a murder. But like, it's got some stylistic logos, and it's like, it was like Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger in the Heat of the Night, and it had a fucking theme song that was from
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles.
Oh, may I just say, this is the first and probably only Best Picture winner where the first second of footage is somebody singing the title, In the Heat of the Night.
They did.
Yeah.
And it's
Bro.
like an original song for the film, and you're like, oh, this is so good.
Ray
it
Charles.
felt very James Bond-esque to me in
It
the
did,
best
yeah.
way.
Yeah, Ray Charles is definitely one of those artists who doesn't have a bad song. They just all hit.
They do.
Every single
Ray
one.
Charles is a very talented man.
He's incredible at what he does.
I
But-
do want to say on the topic of the cinematography, there were a couple of like weird sped up editing things.
Yeah,
that I
like
didn't like.
in the very beginning when Sam's cop car pulls up, the camera just suddenly zooms into the taillight, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck was that?
That and when he's getting chased by racists the first time, where it like punches in on the flag, punches in on the thing, like a lot of weird like fast paced punch. I
Yeah.
didn't necessarily love that.
Well, that's because you got to remember back in the day, sped up footage conveyed drama, but now to us it conveys comedy.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a tonal dissonance. But-
It was just a little strange, especially since the rest of the movie, when it comes to that kind of drama,
Played it very straight.
played it very straight. It felt a little bit more over the top,
Yep.
Yeah.
over drama.
I feel what you mean. I like some of the lines though to shift away because I
Ooh,
really
the
do
dialogue in this
like
film.
It's
there-
crispy, yeah.
There's a bit where he's like, "Oh yeah, call my chief. I'll pay for it myself." And then later on, when he's counting his money, he's like, "It's all there. We paid for the phone call ourselves." And he just glares and counts the money anyway.
Again, yep.
Oh my god.
If we want to talk about good lines and good characterization, let's talk about the chief of police played by Rod Steiger. He plays that guy in two worlds role perfectly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the film, he has changed as a character, but it's not overt. Like, he
No.
doesn't have, like, a big scene where he tells all his guys, you know, oh, fucking, we all need to be grateful of Tibbs' help. He never does that. He's still an asshole to Tibbs 99% of the time. But there are those cracks in there where you can see that he actually, at the end of the day, wants to do his job. Like, when Tibbs is leaving and he's like, you need to stay. And Tibbs is like, why? And fucking flat out says, because I'm not a homicide detective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never solved a murder. You have. You know this better than I do.
Yeah.
Like, to just flat
He
out.
doesn't want to admit it, though.
He doesn't
That's
want to
the
admit
thing,
it. He
but
doesn't
he
say
does.
flat out.
Yeah.
But he does, because at the end of the day, he does want to do his job and he does want to do it right.
Yeah.
And that's just really good. And
That scene in particular is really good. And the scene where they're in oh god, what the hell's his character's name? They're in his apartment and he's like, you're the first human that's ever been in here. He doesn't say anything derogatory at him in that moment. He says human, which I think is a very important thing, especially since at the beginning when they first meet, he goes, what's this black boy doing here?
a lot of boys.
It's very dissonant from his character at the beginning.
Yep.
And he still does in that scene have that moment where, you know,
The
he's
armor goes back
opening up, closes back down.
Yeah. Because it's not an overnight thing that
No,
this happens.
and that's great, because if it was an overnight thing, it'd be shit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. At the end of the movie, you don't know what he's going to say. Oh, thanks for blah, blah, blah. He goes, be safe.
I like how
No, he says, you take care
You
now,
take
you
care
hear.
now,
Like
yeah.
a super southern line.
Yeah.
I love how both Virgil and the cop have reasons for and against him being on the case.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, you see them shift and change their minds based on the situations. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to go to the train, and now no, come back on the case, and then oh, you go to the train. No, I want to
No,
stay on
I'm
the
on
case.
the case. Yep.
Yeah, there's all like I love how that just keeps shifting depending on the scene.
It's realistic.
It is. It's very
Because I
very
feel like
human.
I feel like in a modern day film, the black detective would be just super gung ho
Mm-hmm.
the entire time.
Yeah.
But like Tibbs, like even when he's on the phone with his boss, Tibbs is like, I have to what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, they don't want me. Seriously, they won't
Please,
want me.
bro, my guy.
This is not gonna
No.
work.
My brother,
Fine. Yeah.
my brother in Christ.
My brother-
This is the most racist place I've ever been.
But yeah,
It's
I-
not. It's a second.
I like that because Tibbs doesn't volunteer to help. He has to be told by his chief of police, and even then, he's like, I really don't want to.
Yep.
I cannot stress this enough. Fuck.
Absolutely.
Oh, speaking.
You can read it on his face, but he glares at everybody. Dude, the scene in the car where he just like looks directly in the camera, almost he's just like,
Oh my God, what did fucking Sam say? He said something, and Tibbs was really just sitting there like, bruh.
dude, he hit him with the bro. He's just like, come on, dude.
Like, he didn't say it, but it was a visual bruh.
Yep.
It was when they were doing the nightly patrol.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I called he wasn't going to go by Naked Lady's house.
I thought he was going to speed by.
Nope. Changed his route completely.
See, I thought
But he knows.
I thought he was going to speed by, and then they would get to the scene of the crime, and
Maybe like
Tibbs
that-
would be like, you're 2 minutes early.
Yep.
What happened? Is it because you sped by that house you stayed at?
Yep.
Dude, the reveal. Oh my God. That character. What's her fucking name? Mary, maybe? Who cares?
It was like do it or something was the last name. I know they announced her last name a lot more than her first name.
Yeah. She is the key to the film.
Yes.
One of the first characters we meet. And it was really funny because I was thinking while we're watching, I'm like, the filmmaking is making her look very, very young. And then they were like, she's 16. I was like, oh, okay, got it.
She had to be an adult when they filmed this.
Yeah, no.
But a character 16, and I was like, oh, okay.
It was just interesting to me because, like, you know, that's kind of the first time I feel like in one of these films where, like, the young-looking character is supposed to be young. Because there are so many, like, girls in these films who, like, I'm like, you look like you're 12, and they're supposed to be, like, 18.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm calling Tibbs on this one, bro.
Bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit. Speaking of calls, though, all the fucking phone conversations that were totally real.
Oh my God, where they skipped over time. Hey,
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
It's
Pauses.
It's no time to say what they're saying. Hello? Yeah, he's right here.
Yeah.
Like, did they literally go, hello, Tibbs? Yeah, he's right here.
Yep.
Like, There's no time for the actual dialogue that these characters should be receiving the information of. And it's so funny because there was one conversation. Hello? Yeah. You didn't. No, the other person did not say anything.
Yeah, there was no time in between.
Towards the end, where she walks into the shop to get an abortion, and she runs out after she sees Mr. Tibbs, and he runs after her. He does a sick slide.
Oh my god, it was so sick.
He does
Goes
the
down
old time rock and roll.
He goes down the whole ramp.
Yep.
That was sweet.
That was
It's
so
awesome.
smooth. Like,
He
it's
does
the kind
that
of
quite a
thing-
few times.
I bet you the director or cinematographer watching that while that was happening was like, wow, we struck gold. We don't need to do that again.
I can imagine like they're filming, the fucking cinematographer's on the camera, and like Jewison's behind him. And cut, and the cinematographer just turns. That was fucking sick.
That was amazing.
Awesome.
Speaking of cinematography, though, circling back to weird shots, there's the POV shot when Harvey's running from the cops through the woods. It's supposed to be like a first-person shot.
Yep.
There's a moment where he like kind of moves, and you can literally see the guy holding the camera. You can see his shadow on the ground.
Holding the camera.
It's
Very-
so fucking funny
It's
because he just
very
has a
quick.
It is
Yeah.
really funny,
It
though.
is quick, but it's so noticeable because it's this bright day, and then there's just this black shadow of a blockhead.
Oh, my God.
Would you shut the fuck up?
Help it, bro. I'm allergic outside.
We're inside.
Yeah. I just thought it was really. There are some awkward shots in that as well, where like there's like weird like camera tumbles, and I don't really know what it's about. There's also a small problem because Harvey runs past a triple header freight train, and then like the cops are behind him like 2 minutes later. I'm like, that train's at least 5 miles long. You're not getting past that. Like, but it's super minor stuff. Also, it was really funny that the chief of police was just waiting on the bridge and lets Harvey get like halfway across the bridge before he goes after
He
him.
lets this man get 3/4 of the way to Arkansas before he actually
Because
attempts.
he's like we see several shots of Harvey crossing the bridge, and then finally the chief goes, "I got him," and then drives out at like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of funny.
And I was like, bro, you should have been on him the second he got up.
I would have just hit him with the car. Like, all right, Harvey, you're going to jail. And I had to Google it, by the way. Dolores was 23 when the film came out, so she was probably like 21-ish.
The only thing I didn't like actually is there feels like, because this is the reason why I agree that it felt like that shop manager was going to be the bad guy, is like it's almost like there's a conspiracy to get Tibbs out of the town.
Yeah, and I
that's
thought
why. Yeah.
they played that to mislead you.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure.
They did some really creative things that I thought I was picking up what the movie was putting down. Like, there was a scene where he talked to the police commissioner, the chief, in that field, that junkyard almost. And when you do reverse shot, every shot reversing to him, he was either behind or in front of bars, like jail bars.
Yeah.
And there was like ladder bars in reality, but like I thought that was like symbolic, like, oh, he's the guy who's going to go to jail. But it was I think that was an intentional red herring, if I may say so myself, because that was really cool the way they structured that.
And can I also say that I didn't realize that, I don't know if you guys picked it up either, Endicott sent the thugs after Tibbs.
That makes so much more sense.
That does make more sense.
He's the one who sent it because he got so offended that he slapped him back after he slapped him.
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense.
That makes way more sense because I was thinking it was kind of weird that we just cut to Tibbs just getting chased by random racists.
Yep.
Which, sure, is realistic, I
It's
guess.
realistic. I'm not knocking it for that.
But
I was
now
just
that
like,
makes more story sense.
but like pacing wise, I was like, yeah, it felt like they were writing it and they were like, I don't really know how to transition to the next story beat.
That's the kind of fun fact that takes a story with excellent pacing and gives it better pacing.
Yeah,
Because I don't think it's ever overtly stated
I don't think so
that it
either.
happens.
No, but it makes sense.
But
I think there's one quick
there's a
moment
quick moment
where they say
literally-
something about Endicott.
I was trying to make sure that was either the factory head or the mayor. It's the factory head for the factory that her
Colbert.
husband
Yeah.
was going to make, and she
Colbert.
threatened to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, because she wanted the murder solved.
Yes.
also,
And directly underneath that was Endicott sends the thugs after Tibbs.
yep, this is more tangential, but I knew nothing about the movie going in except the poster, and it was the poster with Sidney Poitier with that like bat-looking thing, ready
Yep.
to like fuck some people up. I thought it was gonna be a movie about him like fighting people with sticks and shit. I didn't know what the plot of. I didn't even know the genre.
So I knew the genre because again I've seen a couple of scenes from this movie.
I've seen nothing.
I've seen the scene where the guy's running through the woods, like that first person kind of scene in a video explaining like origins of first person, not origins, but like some of the earlier uses of it and how it's evolved over time. And I've seen the scene of him getting backed into a corner in the warehouse before. And
Never seen it.
one or two other scenes.
Never seen anything from this film, but that made it more interesting because it is truly one of those movies that I love so much where I know nothing about it and it just exceeds all
I will
expectations.
say the I knew the genre going in because I did the background research.
Yeah.
And the only line that I knew from the film is the ever iconic "They call me Mr. Tibbs."
Yep. The namesake of the sequel.
Yeah.
mind you.
They call him Mr. Tibbs. It's a great line too.
It is.
It
It's
is
so
a
good.
really, really good line.
What do they call you up in Philadelphia, Virgil? They call me Mr. Tibbs.
They
Which is
do.
not a threatening name at all, by the way.
No, but the way he delivers it with just that that gravitas and that seriousness, he's just like he's putting his foot down in the moment. He's like, "Stop fucking with me."
It's another thing where it's like it's him in that role. If you take him out of that role, the line's worse.
Yeah,
Like
That's
that's
true.
just how good he is at what he does.
it's true, man.
That's
You
because
put, like-
anybody named Virgil Tibbs is automatically lame, except
I
this
know.
guy.
And this guy can take it and make it not lame.
Oh,
Yeah.
and dude, fucking those scenes where he does get to blow up, he's not calm, cool, and collected the entire time. He fucking blows up.
Right.
Well, why are you so convinced that it's him? Why aren't you? Because he couldn't drive 2 cars.
Right.
It's the moments where his conviction for everything going on, his like dedication to everything boils over because he's like, why aren't you picking up on this? I'm laying it out perfectly for you.
I love that because it's like a character thing. It makes it more fleshed out
Yes.
and realistic. Like if he was just calm, collected all the time and always had all the answers for everything, it would be a boring character to watch.
Yeah.
It's just a cartoon.
The
at
fact
that
that he
point.
does give in to those indulgences and does push back.
Yes.
It's so good because he's not just like smirking in the corner the entire time like, oh, you haven't figured it out yet?
Yeah, you can see him clearly offended when he's
Yeah.
slapped back, and that apparently is the crime. Not the first slap or whatever.
What are you gonna do about it? You just assaulted a police officer, bro. Arrest you.
Yep. You
There
can
was
see him pissed off.
also the scene where they brought Harvey in and Rod Steiger's character flipped out him. You can kind of see tears forming up in his eyes, like he's like,
Yep.
all right,
Yeah.
because he had let down a little bit of a wall, thinking, okay, I'm getting through to these guys. Nope, instantly
Yep.
back up. He's like,
Oh yeah.
all right, bye.
Yeah, you can see that like he is not. He does not always have a handle on his human
Human
impulse.
emotions.
Like
yeah.
he is
Yeah.
not above getting flagrantly offended by very racist people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Gillespie, I remembered his name, does that like 2 or 3 times where he's like, all right, I'm starting to believe this guy. And then he's like, no, we got a guy. And then he does it again. No, Sam did it.
Because at the end of the day, he does not want to give this black detective credit.
Yeah.
He
Not at
wants
all.
at the end of the day.
Well, he's not going to get credit regardless. See, you talked about it with the factory head.
No, I know, but in his mind, he'll know.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
And there are so many scenes where the chief of police just like, oh, hey, here's what could be a solution. Let's just wrap it up. We're done.
Yeah.
You got it wrong. I got it right.
He's
Yeah.
like 13% involved because let's be real. Poitier's character is doing 87% of the work.
Easy.
was.
Easy. 100%.
Like, I'm not going to discredit anything the chief actually did because Gillespie did figure out that Sam had that money going in there
Yep.
and talked to him about that and picked up on Tibbs' questioning of why did you not take your normal route?
Yes.
But it was for the wrong reasons.
At the end of the day, they did work together to solve the case, even if it wasn't a equal partnership.
Yep. So what Ian just said about the cop actually being competent to some extent, that is the flip side of how Sidney Poitier is always collected, always knows what's up, but also fails sometimes. The cop is the one who's usually like, oh shit, I'm prejudiced, that did me in. Oh, I'm trying to sweep it under the rug, it's failing me. But on occasion, he actually gets it right. And that's
Yeah.
the more
And-
realistic human element, and they complement each other by doing that.
in that moment, nothing he did was correct because Sam really did earn that money doing whatever he said. But the cover up from Dolores and weird
Dolores'
Diner
brother.
Man. It was weird Diner Man.
Oh, sorry,
Not
the-
Dolores' brother. He killed her brother, which is nuts.
Yep.
Like
Shot him.
that cover up right there, because of Sam stopping by for the 2 minutes to stare at her titties, kind of made sense. It wasn't the wrong thing to think. It was just didn't have the whole picture.
Dude, what a buck wild story she told about the fucking cemetery. Like, we were just sitting there. Dolores just goes on this like whole rant about how Sam got her pregnant.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
It's fucking wild. He starts telling her about how like tombstones are cold, and then she implies they go fuck on a tombstone.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there thinking to myself, what the fucking
Dude, I literally went. Sorry, audio medium. I held up my hand and just pointed at the screen. We were all
what
the way
the
in the
fuck
back.
is this
I was
guy-
like, bruh,
Mhm.
what are you
the fuck?
talking about?
It was definitely one of those scenes where you just kind of sit and listen, and you're just like,
Okay,
what
anyways.
the fuck are people saying right
Yup.
now?
Yep.
A lot of
Because
that.
they make Dolores unhinged, which, I mean, yeah, she's 16 and she was banging a dude who was probably old enough to be her grandfather.
Yep.
She banging the weird diner guy, just
Mhm.
being naked all the time.
She was weird.
Yep.
Oh yeah, this movie is not normal.
No, yeah, a lot of weird.
Well, this movie's 1960s normal. Let's
This
be
movie's
real.
1960s normal. Some weird shit happened. in this film.
Racism, you know, a lot of flagrant racism.
Well, I'm not.
But
But
it's
like that's
not-
the point.
It's
Yeah.
not flagrant racism just being there. It's
It's part of the
plot
story.
narrative and story.
Yeah.
It's not like, ooh, Cimarron, blackface.
It's
or
a-
like
it-
it's
it-
like, oh,
It's a black detective solving a crime
In
in
Mississippi.
Mississippi in the 60s.
you
Like,
can even say now and it would still make sense.
yeah,
Like,
there's some shit in here where I was like, yeah, that's pretty fucking relevant. Like when he's like, there's white time in jail and
then
there's colored time in jail. You don't want to do colored time. And I was like,
Yep.
damn, that's so fucking relevant.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's tough.
Like the movie ages like a fine wine.
Yep. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say this because this is how I really feel.
Much
Not-
like Sidney Poitier, director of Ghost Dad.
It's not
Yeah.
necessarily like, oh,
He's never
hey,
done
you
anything
know,
bad.
it's time for wrap up or anything. But I just want to say this because this is like what the movie made me feel. There are two factual statements I'm gonna say. This movie is a 10 out of 10. This might be my favorite Sidney Poitier movie. I don't know yet. That's how good his filmography
I
is.
will say I've never actually seen another Sidney Poitier, but yeah, I don't know how he's gonna surpass this.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Ghost Dad.
Shut your fucking mouth.
You haven't seen it?
That's right. Mud has not seen it. You can't say it sucks.
Exactly.
He's not in it. He just directed it.
He was behind the camera. It was his hand that crafted that film.
Where's the cameo?
No, 10. This is fucking perfect. I know there's like little things here and there, but that does not nullify the sheer masterpiece on screen. I love
No,
it.
it's completely understandable. And if we are giving our out of 10s, we can still talk a little bit more if we have more to say.
Sure.
I'll say between an 8 and a 9. It's fantastic and wonderful, but there are still a few little editing decisions and a couple little things that I still have a little bit more of a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say 9. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Honestly, like
It is so strong.
it
towards
is
the
really,
top
really
of the
strong.
list.
It's one of the best. I haven't.
I'll say this: why the fuck wasn't Poitier nominated for any sort of Oscar?
Racism.
And you know what?
He'd already won.
You already won. Yeah, that's amazing.
And Steiger won Best Picture for this. I'm pretty sure.
Best actor.
Best actor. Sorry.
Yes, he did.
So, I think he's more of the support.
He is absolutely. He should be best supporting actor, and Poitier should have been best actor.
I can concede that. Yeah.
Mhm.
But this right now, I have it at an 8. I might bump it up to a 9. I literally have 1 9. But like it's upper echelon of like Lawrence of Arabia. It happened one night. All Quiet on the Western Front, kind of like 8 9. You know.
This
Yeah, I know
movie
what you
really just blows you away with how good it is.
Yeah.
It really
It's
does.
up in the upper tiers, like top 10 of the best pictures so far.
Yeah, I'm slotting it in my top 5.
It's
That's understandable.
okay, so I'm slotting it right now while you guys are talking. I am putting this film. Geez, it's only a 10 out of 10. I don't know where to put it. I'm gonna put it. Ooh,
It's actually number 11.
it's
fun
this
fact.
or Ben Hur. At my 5th. It's either 5th or 6th right now, audience. But
I have mine at 11, but it could change.
I
'cause I'm
have
debating
mine-
between 8 and 9.
I have mine exactly at number 5.
I will.
Nice.
I will lean Ben Hur because the chariot scene is better than any single scene in this movie.
Yeah.
But that might change.
Yeah.
As of right now, I'm keeping Ben Hur as my 5th. So,
But no, this
on that
movie is fantastic.
well, on that note,
And-
I'm just gonna say that the best one is The Bridge on River Kwai,
Yep.
and the worst one is Tom
GG.
Jones.
Bridge on the River Kwai, GG.
Gentleman's Agreement, the greatest show on earth.
And you know what? My Gentleman's Agreement is in my top 6.
Gentleman's Agreement is in my top 10. It's number 9.
It's number 6.
Yep, it's good. It's good. It's great.
I got to catch up. So
Gotta catch up.
Yeah, you got to watch Gigi.
You gotta watch
Tom
Ben
Jones.
Hur, my guy.
You do have to watch Ben-Hur, and you're gonna be like, "Oh no, is that a 10 contender?
And then-
contender, if you would."
And then Apartment, which is also a contender.
Number fucking 2, because I love The Apartment.
So, yeah, with all of that, we will see you guys and hopefully Joquin next week.
Oliver.
For Oliver.
Not next week, but
Another, you know what I meant.
Another
Next
time.
time.
Next
We
time.
will see you guys next time along with Joquin for Oliver. We're going back to the musicals.
is this, please, sir, may I have
Some
some
It
more?
is, please, sir, may I have
You know
some
how
more?
excited I am for that?
Get more excited because it's the last musical for a grip.
Chicago.
Chicago's
A grip
40
away.
years away.
That's a
Yeah.
grip away. We're fine. This is the last one.
2002.
Let's
Okay, good.
go, baby.